I'd like to talk about a number of people. Frank Skartados, first of all, who sat right over here, and I think Joe said it very well. Frank was a quiet man. We would have conversations here. He would talk about issues here, but he really kept to himself most of the time. But you could tell from your conversations with Frank that he was here for one reason, and that is because he wanted to do good. He believed that America had offered him opportunities, and he wanted to make sure that he created an environment where those opportunities were afforded to others. So I remember Frank as the quiet workhorse that he was. Mike Simanowitz, I didn't know Mike that well. I remember Mike through his body language, as was mentioned. And I thought he was kind of, because he would speak sarcasm every so often in conference, like every conference. He was impatient, he'd get frustrated. But I garnered tremendous respect for two reasons about Mike. One, as the speaker mentioned, you always knew where he stood. And on education, we were on different ends of the spectrum. But I felt respect from him for my position, and I certainly respected him for his position. But I think it was a resolution we were doing on the floor, and I remember him standing up across the way. And he talked personally about his illness. And he reminded us that breast cancer afflicts men too. And that he wanted to make sure that as a body that's involved in policy making, that we remembered that. And we remembered that whatever decisions we made, we had to make sure that we included men in our policies that would help deal with breast cancer. Denny Farrell, I met Denny Farrell when I was running for state senate in 2002. He was one of the few people who actually supported me as the sacrificial lamb out of Monroe County. Joe remembers that. And he actually came up to meet me. He drove, I think he did have the red Mustang at that point. He didn't know me from anybody, but he knew from the people who were supporting me from home that he ought to be helpful. And then when I came to the assembly, both as initially as a staff person and then as an assembly member, I knew that when Denny Farrell stood up in conference and he was going to make a statement, it was time to listen. Because with his wealth of knowledge and experience and the fact that he was judicious in weighing in on issues, that we should listen to what Denny had to say. So Denny, Mike, and Frank, I'm going to miss them dearly. But let me talk about a personal friend of mine, Congresswoman Louise Slaughter. Louise was a person that dared greatly. She did not stand in the sidelines. She was a woman scientist when women weren't expected to go into science. She ran for office, knocked on doors, and had people say things like, "Who's going to take care of your children?" And Louise, with her upstate accent, Kentucky accent, would say, "I think my husband can handle the children for a couple of days a week." And she ultimately became a county legislator. Worked her way through, became the first, and to this point in history, the only female chair of Congress Rules Committee. Louise believed in evidence-based science policymaking. She believed that we should look at facts when we decide policy decisions, something that is going to be dearly missed in Congress in this current context. She fought for women's rights. She fought for workers' rights. And she fought for the LGBTQ community long before it was politically popular to do so. In 1996, she voted against Don't Ask, Don't Tell. She fought for anti-discrimination legislation at the federal level. She fought for hate crimes legislation at the federal level. For our LGBTQ community, Louise is a beacon of hope. She's a beacon of hope because she always fought for full equality for everyone, no matter who they were or who they loved. She's a beacon of hope because she always looked at what is possible. I remember she supported me when I ran for county ledge the first time and actually hosted a fundraiser for me. People hadn't seen her for a while, and mostly it was gay guys at this fundraiser, and one of the guys is looking at her and like, Louise, you look marvelous. She grabs him by the arm. She goes, honey, nothing money can't buy. So Louise knew how to connect to people. And on a personal level, along with Assemblywoman Susan John, Louise convinced me to run for the New York State Assembly and helped me to win this seat. Louise will always be a friend and always be a mentor to me. And those of you from the greater Rochester area will know what I mean when I say I am another neighbor for Louise. Louise, I love you dearly, and I miss you.